The first time Jiri Prochazka and Teixeira battled it out inside the octagon, Jiri walked away with the light heavyweight belt, submitting his opponent via a deadly rear naked choke. It was undoubtedly one of the greatest title bouts in the history of the division, and now both fighters are ready to go to war once again in what it looks like the fight of the year. Stay tuned, and we'll tell you all about it. First up, a lot of bad blood. The last time these guys fought was at UFC 275, and to be fair, Jiri was just all over the place. If he hadn't gotten that choke late in the fight, the judges would have probably scored the fight in Glover's favor. Both their tanks were empty after an absolute slugfest, lasting almost 5 rounds. And even though Jiri ended up with the victory, he got ripped for his horrible performance against Glover. It's not common to see a fighter visibly disappointed after winning a UFC title, but that's how it went for Jiri. Fans and fighters both weren't exactly convinced he deserved the victory, since he was pretty much 30 seconds away from a loss. Glover, on the other hand, was absolutely furious at himself. He had it in the bag. All he had to do was pass 30 seconds to retain his title. But that's all in the past now, as both fighters have verbally agreed to a rematch in December at UFC 282. And trust us, this fight is gonna have a lot of bad blood. Despite being the champion, Prochazka will still want to solidify his position in the division, since most of his weight mates think of him as a fighter who just got lucky. And Glover, we bet he's already hitting the gym to win back his title and avenge a rather unlucky loss at UFC 275. Next, some insider information. The UFC hasn't announced the fight as of yet, but some insiders did confirm plans of the fight happening in December. And like we said, the verbal agreement is already there, so we're guessing all these guys have to do is sign the contract and get things underway. We did hear some really interesting things about the venue though. Believe it or not, the UFC actually wanted this fight to go down in Brazil at UFC 283, but both fighters opted for UFC 282 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. We don't know for sure, but if we had to guess, it was probably Jiri who had a problem with the venue. Like, who would want to fight a Brazilian in Brazil? Those fights end up getting really crazy. And when thousands of fans are chanting your opponent's name, winning sorta gets hard because of all that pressure. Still, this fight is going to be huge. Their first match was a fight of the year contender, and even though it was packed with action, it failed to live up to the hype mainly because of the way it ended. Whether you like it or not, Jiri got lucky, and that's the truth. And in case you disagree, let's not forget how the champ himself called it a horrible performance on his end. And now for Glover's legacy. The Brazilian has had an exceptional career inside the octagon. He's registered 33 wins, coming at just 8 losses. And his performance at the UFC has been even more special. He's always been a really dominant fighter, capable of rocking anyone in front of him. He's put away every big name in the division, and before his unfortunate loss to Jiri, he was on a 5-fight win streak. And want to know what's even more impressive? He's 42 years old now. A 42-year-old gearing up to fight Jiri Prochazka, a young, energetic, and hungry 29-year-old. So the fact that he put on such a brutal beating at UFC 275 just shows you why Prochazka still gets called out for his victory at UFC 275. You could almost say the entire division thinks of him as an illegitimate champion. But just like he has a chance to distance himself from those claims, Glover has a chance to cement his legacy. He's clearly labeled this as the last fight of his career. We're guessing he probably wants to go out with a bang, and what better way to do it by winning back the light heavyweight belt. Now that's gonna be a legacy to remember. Also, this makes the fight so much more interesting. On one end, you have a fighter who needs to win to become the true champion of the division, and on the other, you have Glover, a beast seeking revenge. But why do you want to fight a 42-year-old? The champ didn't actually want a rematch until about a month ago. He actually had his eyes on Jan Blachowicz, but we're not sure why he changed his mind and wants to fight Glover now. Maybe it just proves what we've been saying all along. He still feels the need to bury Teixeira in his past before he can become a legitimate champion. But Chael Sonnen is having none of that, as he straight up called Jiri out for wanting to fight a 42-year-old. Why do you want to fight a 42-year-old? Why are you calling out someone you just beat? He's got a point, you know. Why is Jiri calling out a fighter he just beat? Shouldn't a 29-year-old champion who's 3 for 3 since his debut be calling out equally ambitious guys to impress the Boston fans? At times like this, we seriously wish John James was still around to teach guys like Prochazka a lesson. And it may seem like we hate him or something, but trust us, we have nothing against the 29-year-old. We just don't understand why he feels the need to pursue Glover. And what's more is that we have no clue why the UFC is backing him up. There's a ton of other guys in the division who've been putting up some solid performances and deserve to be given a shot at the title. Up next, the Samurai Code. At this point, the 29-year-old just seems like a very confused champion. He's been making rounds on Twitter, talking about how Glover deserves a rematch, and then he goes on to say how this fight is a matter of honor and duty to show pure fight. Honestly speaking, Glover must be loving this. He's probably playing along because he's literally just getting another shot at the title after losing at the the age of 42. No one gets a shot at the title that late in their career. That's too immediate just weeks after a loss. But whatever Yeezy may think, Jan isn't exactly happy with his potential opponent jumping ship at the very last moment. He actually thinks the champion violated the Samurai Code since he called him his biggest challenge, but then went for what sort of looks like an easy fight to hold on to the title. Prochazka replied by saying his bout with Glover is much more than just a challenge. He's right about the challenge part though. Teixeira did do some serious damage multiple times throughout the fight. He even got a really good strike early on in the match that almost put Yeezy to sleep. And yeah, there's a lot on the line for both these guys, but on paper, the fight just doesn't sit well with fans. They want to see Yeezy go up against someone fresh, not someone who's been around in the UFC for a decade now. Finally, what do the fans say? Fans have had enough of hearing the same thing over and over again. They're starting to question the UFC on whether Yeezy will be getting an immediate rematch if Glover ends up winning the fight. It should work both ways, right? Why not give everyone immediate rematches? That's a valid point, especially when you look at how this was Glover's first title defense, and it'll also be Yeezy's. So if he does lose, it only makes sense to give him a rematch, right? Or is this just a huge plan to give Glover the well-deserved send-off, and who knows, if he wins, he'll just hang up the gloves, and we'll get to see Yeezy and Jan go at it for the vacant title. Some fans actually think the whole point of making this fight is because Glover is retiring. This sort of makes it a now or never situation. Either he wins or he has to retire without the title, but still, title or not, he's had an exciting career at the promotion. Now there's the interesting bit. Fans don't really think Jan deserves the fight either. And no, it's not because he isn't a good fighter, it's because he hasn't really had a convincing victory inside the cage. So it doesn't make sense why he thinks he's entitled to a title fight. Where's Magomed Ankalaev when you need him? If he had some star potential, he'd probably be the best fight for Yeezy. That's it from our side, folks. So what do you think? Is Yeezy doing the right thing by fighting Glover again, or should we have moved on to more challenging names in the division? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.